I've gotten a lot of texts in my life. This might be top 5. From Judy. Hi, checking in to see how you are all doing. Sure hope things are going good. I've been meaning to tell you, Ethan, that I had a chance to listen/watch to your podcast with Ryan Penny on EWTN Catholic Sphere. I was quite impressed, but not surprised, at how well you spoke and presented yourself. Best speaker, hands down. Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast that hasn't drank any water since last night. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm Patrick. Ethan and I are two buddies who started a podcast 7 years ago where we talk about the Catholic faith and goof off along the way. More goofing off than talking. We're glad you're here. We hope more people have conversations like this, and we're glad you're here. And Ethan is a parched fella. Have you only been drinking coffee?
Well, I had orange juice this morning for brekkie. And
just orange juice for breakfast?
Well, no, I had also some proteins. So I had an egg casserole that my wife had whipped up earlier in the week. That was, you know how egg kind of gets like in the fridge, you know?
Yeah, you can't really keep it for a long time.
You can't keep it for a long time. So I've been scarfing down. There's nothing more powerful. When you're a kid, let me tell you this. When you're a child and you go to maybe like a youth retreat or something, and they have breakfast casserole, or you're in college and you go up and you get those little styrofoam plates. They put the square on it. That's not enough for anybody. My 15-month-old son eats more than that for breakfast, you know, over the course of the morning, because it's the square is not enough. So now that I own my own house and my wife cooks for me, what I do when I go downstairs,
2 dozen eggs from your egg guy.
It's in an 8x12 glass pan. I cut all the way across and I just scoop out a lengthwise strip. So and I just pop that thing in the microwave. No plate.
Do you go hot dog or hamburger?
What do you mean?
Do you cut a big old strip? You cut a whole strip?
Oh.
Do you cut 8 inches or do you cut 12?
I cut 8 inches, not 12.
Okay. I was picturing 12.
I'm not
I was like, you're a maniac.
Foot-long casserole. Man, Subway, I got a new idea for you. But no, now I can you can just take your fork and you just slip it out and then I can eat the whole thing. So I had that for breakfast.
That's good.
And then I had some orange juice. And then I had coffee.
Back to the retreats before
and then I didn't
eat
anything. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you didn't eat anything.
Oh, well, I didn't drink anything and I still haven't had any water. That's the whole story. What were you going to say about retreats? Because you used to run retreats.
I did.
So you probably have an inside info.
I was a big fan of breakfast on retreats.
Yeah.
I always made sure that breakfast, because when it comes to retreat planners, hear me when I tell you this. Everyone just woke up on a floor.
Yes.
All right. Everyone just woke up on a floor or an air mattress, basically a little bit. And if they
woke, or a bunk bed or like a guest bed in the diocesan retreat center that is just stiff and probably made out of plastic.
Probably. And even if they had an air mattress, they still probably woke up on the floor, because that's how air mattresses work, you know?
Do you remember that one time when we went to Kansas City, Missouri, and we stayed at that camp?
Yeah.
Together.
And they made us share a room.
They made us share a room.
And Oscar 210 got to watch Netflix in his own room by himself like a king.
He told us about the guy that was with the neck. You remember what I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember that.
He was telling us about this. He saw a meme of a guy with a neck, and about how the guy had a really thick neck. He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life.
Oh, yeah. That was back when thick neck and long neck were big on TikTok or Vine or whatever it was.
It was before
we
TikTok.
One time did a retreat. We did an event with David Calavita and Oscar 210. And we had no business.
We did have business. We did well.
We next to them.
Well, they were pros. We were just
out of our league.
If anybody wants to book us for their next diocesan youth retreat or youth conference, we make a great time. So
and we've only gotten better.
And we're
dude. My grandmother got me a gig. Could I tell you this? My grandmother got me a gig. My grandson goes all over the country. My aunt listens to the podcast. I shouldn't. I'm not making fun of
No.
my grandma.
Make fun of your
I'm
grandma.
just
Make
doing
fun of your
my
grandma.
grandma's New
What
York
are you,
accent.
granny's boy, for scared to make fun of your grandma?
My grandmother is
Yeah.
a saint. First of all, she's so
Sure.
great, and she's also like she is the networking queen of Melbourne, Florida. All right, she
Wow.
used to walk into chamber events with a blazer on, and she would have a stack of sign man business cards in one pocket and
Mhm.
another pocket empty, and she would not leave until she had given away all the business cards in one pocket and filled up the business cards in the next one. She'd hand them to my dad, and my dad would call those businesses. That was their business.
That's great.
And so she's been doing that for me now, just going around. And
that's fun.
she got me she was talking to a guy at a college's Newman Center, and she told him that I go all over the country talking to teenagers, and he was like, "Well, these aren't teenagers." She's like, "He could probably do it," and so that's going to be exciting. If you're in the Melbourne area and you know which college I'm talking about, come see me. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be talking. No, it's FIT.
Oh, the Florida Institute of Technology.
Yeah, it's Florida Tech. I just didn't want to say it because it's not a done deal yet. But she called me about it today.
That's fun. My grandma. Hold on. No, grandma cast for a second because my grandma messaged me.
Dude, Judy.
Judy sent me a message, a DM. Can I read this out loud on the podcast?
Yeah, I was so proud of you.
I know, this is great. The best. This is probably. I've gotten a lot of texts in my life. This might be top 5. From Judy. Hi, checking in to see how you are all doing. Sure hope things are going good. I've been meaning to tell you, Ethan, that I had a chance to listen/watch to your podcast with Ryan Penny on EWTN Catholic Sphere. I was quite impressed, but not surprised, at how well you spoke and presented yourself. Best speaker, hands down.
Look at that.
Hands down. That is not your normal grandma, I love you, schnookums type beat.
No,
that is like...
No, that is high praise from Judy.
I think my grandma thinks correctly that I am the Walter Cronkite of EWTN. And I don't think she's wrong.
My grandmother thinks correctly. So if you want some high quality grandmother approved speakers to come to your event,
yeah.
Hey, we got you covered, baby. But I'm talking about retreats.
You're talking about retreats, about how kids wake up on the floor.
They wake up on the floor. The worst thing you can do as a retreat organizer is then hand them a continental breakfast. All right.
What do you mean?
So insulting.
What do you mean?
It's you know what a continental breakfast is like. It's all carbs. It's just all sugary.
When you think continental breakfast, what do you think of? What's in your brain space?
Holiday Inn Express.
So
continental breakfast.
I'm thinking. So you're not thinking like nothing with a warmer. It's all just like bagels and biscuits and cereal and
not even
like
biscuits.
maybe there's like sometimes you get biscuits, but they're the really dry kind, and they you eat them and you're like they glue. It's like glue in your mouth. It's like water activated concrete.
There's absolutely nothing in a warmer.
Nothing in a warmer.
It's all like cereals, and they're all
lucky.
Sugary.
There's juice.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not the way to go. If you want to splurge on breakfast. People will deal with pizza for dinner on a retreat, but splurge for breakfast. Breakfast
is it.
Because when you come down, you're tired, you're groggy, you got a whole day ahead of you, and
you're
like
up late last night texting the girl that's at the retreat with you, asking her about how she liked the confession line. You know.
Yeah, you remember high school.
I do.
The best thing in the world to see is just a big old plate of eggs and a big old plate of bacon, and you just and the protein and the fat, it just burns slower, so you get more energy throughout the day instead of the carbs. It just goes like that, and you just look, bleh, you know.
Yes, I will caution you out there. Those of you, I have been in many meetings. I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but I've been many retreat planning meetings where someone will say, "Oh, we'll just make a breakfast casserole." That person, I can't say that. You shoot them on sight with like Nerf bow and arrow type thing, but enough to make them reconsider what they've said, because
there's no universe where you should make a breakfast casserole
because do you know how long it takes for a breakfast casserole to bake in the oven?
And you
Everyone's like, oh,
we'll
we'll just make them the night before. We'll just mix all the ingredients the night before. We'll put them in the fridge. Do you know how many times I have been through this charade? Probably 10 to 15 times.
Your wedding.
My wedding. And the problem is that they put them in pans that are too deep. And so they load it up and they're like, oh, we'll just put we have all these ingredients, 12 eggs. And it's gooey in the middle. You cook it for 45 minutes. You cook it for an hour. You cook it for an hour and a half. And it's barely done. Everyone's been hungry because they thought food was coming 45 minutes ago. And now it's running late. Everyone's running behind. Everyone's hungry. The people who are making it are mad. The people who are mad because, and then nobody has a good experience at the first day of the retreat because they're like, breakfast was late. If you make a casserole, either make it thin and make it right, and you have to get up at 3 a.m. to do it, or just cook scrambled eggs and bake. Like, it's the same. It takes way less work. Everyone
thinks. You can make scrambled eggs in 2 minutes.
If I've done anything on this podcast over 7 years, it's please do not let anyone convince you that we'll just make a breakfast casserole on the retreat. Don't do it. Worst.
It's not a just thing. Let's just make a breakfast casserole.
Yeah.
You know what? Nick, we had family dinner. Nick was in town. We have family
We'll
dinner.
just win the battle at the Bulge. We'll just go and win that. It'll be simple.
Yeah, well, let's just make more money.
We'll just extend our supply lines all throughout Asia as we attack Russia, and we're France now. And it'll be simple. We'll just not get sick in the winter during our Asian campaign of world domination. We'll just do that. Shut up, man. You don't know.
It's the inconvenient thing that you just kind of brush off. It's like, oh, can you just do this real quick? Nick and I had a running joke on Sunday night for family dinner because he asked me, he's like, hey, Pat, while you're up, can you get me a slice of pie? Sure. And the pie, which is a normal thing to ask if the pie is out and cut, but the pie was not out, and it was not
the pie
cut.
Wasn't made. There was no pie. He's like, can you?
The pie was not out, and the pie was not cut. I was like, hold on, Nick, you asked me to get out and then slice and serve you a pie.
That's so
really funny. And it's like we were coming up with things that were slightly more inconvenient. Like it's just above the realm of like, oh hey, while you're up, can you just do this real quick? Like, hey, while you're up, can you make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's like that's not like an impossible task, but it's also not something I'm gonna do while I'm up.
I'm up, yeah. It implies if it's while you're up, you have to be able to do it in a pass. Like it's like a grab something as I'm walking by,
yes,
or like put something on my way back. It's a grab or a put. It's not a.
It's a grab or a put.
This really is. We are doing Seinfeld.
We're doing Seinfeld right now.
Yeah.
She asked me to make her a pie. What am I supposed to say? Oh yeah,
I can see George being really, really upset because he asked someone to get him a piece of pie when it was out, and then he puts it away, and then they ask him to get a piece after he's put it away. And he gets all offended because
and then Jerry's like, "Well, you did get him the pie.
You did get him the pie." And Elaine's like, "What's the big deal about the pie?" And Kramer's like, "What kind of pie?" And so it would just be a whole. It'd be. I mean, we could write it right now. I had a pie. Yeah. You know, my friend Bob Sacramento. He works at a pie shop. Okay. Well, I also have a confession to make.
Yeah. What's that?
I didn't lie to you, but I did stretch the truth.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You were late to the podcast because you have the Pope off screen, right?
This guy. Wait, hold on. This guy.
That guy, yeah.
I was late to the podcast. Yes, because Peter was late in going to bed. So that part was real. But my wife and my neighbors, Emma made cookies and my neighbors made bread, and we have 3 new neighbors that just moved in on the street. And so tonight was the night that was dedicated to delivering the cookies and the bread to the 3 new neighbors.
Okay.
And I told Emma I have to do the podcast, and she looked at me. She said, "We planned this around you," and I was like, "Oh, okay,
Oh,
then I guess Patrick can wait."
that
So I
was
had to
a that was
go.
a that was a solid Emma impression, by the way.
Was it really?
Yeah, yeah. You
She
got the
wasn't
mannerisms
mad.
down.
She
No,
wasn't mad. I mean,
that wasn't a
you would
mad Emma impression.
one would think that I would have the mannerisms of my own wife down.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, we can go. I just need to. So I was worried because I knew it's later there for you. So I was like, we got to get out of here. But thankfully, it was raining, so nobody wanted to be out there for too long. But we delivered to all three houses. One family wasn't there. One woman was there, and the other one, it was their kid that was home. And when she opened the door, reefer, just mad reefer. I was
Awesome.
like, dang, you just moved
It is
in
legal.
like 3
in
days
Oklahoma.
ago, and it already smells like Lollapalooza main stage in there. Not that it's bad, but it's just not the vibe that you're expecting. You know, you're like, hey,
Yeah.
welcome to the neighborhood. It's just cush. It's like, whoa, hey, invite me over sometime. You know,
Yeah,
I like
geez.
to. I'm not opposed to toking with the with the neighbors.
with
you know,
the boys.
with the Jews, I am a Jew. With the Greeks, I am a Greek. You know, would you smoke
Stoker.
weed for evangelization, Patrick?
Probably not.
Oh, so you hate God and His commandments?
I did once say that it's important for someone who is going to do mission work in the inner city to learn how to smoke so
Yeah.
that you can hang.
Yes.
I think that is true. I have
I
said
think
that on the
it's-
podcast.
yeah.
I stand by it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know how.
But I was not doing mission work in the inner city. I was doing mission work in the suburbs, and I still learned.
That's why I'm doing mission work in Oklahoma. That's why I know how to gamble in the casinos. Really, well.
That's why I know how to rope some cattle. Ooh, wait, I didn't talk about this. Wait, did we do that this weekend?
You roped
Yeah.
cattle?
No. You saw my hat, right?
Your hat?
My hat. Did you see my hat?
I don't know.
My
what
new
you're talking
cowboy
about.
hat.
You have a cowboy hat?
Yeah, I went to a party
Okay.
on Saturday
really
night, and it was a cowboy themed party.
Okay.
And I rode a bull, a mechanical bull. What? What?
Did anyone get a video of you riding the mechanical bull?
I don't think so.
No.
I was
That
pretty
would
good
be
at it.
Great. That would be a great Twitch emote of you riding
Me on the bull.
Yeah.
It was the video. I had a couple of good strong recoveries riding the
Sure.
bull, and then the final one when I was like sideways and I was like the bull was spinning and I was like no, that was funny.
Why? Hold on. Why did you have a hat? Why did you get a hat?
It was a Western themed party.
Did
I
you
bought a
purchase a hat?
I did.
Do you have it with you right now?
No. Dang. I know. I did, but then I did wear it to the confirmation small group that I lead with someone else on Sunday, and I walked in and the kids, it's like none of the kids, we've met 3 times total and the kids like don't talk. And
Yeah.
I walk in wearing a cowboy hat. And I sat down, they're all looking at me and I just look at the cowboy hat and I'm like, howdy.
And did they like it?
They were kind of like chuckling despite themselves, but I was
Are
like,
you wearing like your normal outfit underneath? Is it like Birks and board shorts and a button-down short sleeve shirt?
No.
With a cowboy hat?
I'm wearing this.
Oh, what is that? Oh,
Shoe.
okay. A chukka boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know your boots. Yeah, this is I wear chukka boots now.
Yeah. I know a lot of things about a lot of specific stuff, and nobody ever believes me. Everybody thinks I'm kind of stupid, but I'm not.
You wear chukka boots, don't you?
No, I don't. I don't have chukka boots.
I like them. They're kind of nice.
I think they make me look a little bit fruity, but that's just just because I'm a skinny guy, and I think you have to be more selective with what you wear when you're my proportions. Because I've got a sway back, so my butt sticks out. So it's like anything, I have to be careful. You know, I've already had situations where I've been with friends of mine, male friends, out at restaurants. And someone has come up to us and said, "Hey, you guys, I'm so proud of you guys for being so brave with your relationship."
No, that sucks.
To be fair, Rory was wearing a vest, and I think that's the problem. And
Maybe.
we also did share a dessert off the same plate, which was my idea.
Okay, well there you go. You did that to yourself.
I did do that,
Do
but
you
I
think
didn't
they
want.
were saying? Do you think they were saying you were brave because you were gay or interracial?
Probably both. I think we might have been if we were actually gay, we would have been the first ever that these people had seen in
Yeah, 'cause
Tulsa,
it's in
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma,
Yeah, because it's still both are still illegal there.
yeah.
So we were really transgressive.
Nice.
No, it's I wanted to save money on the dessert, and I didn't. I wanted a dessert. We had a beer, and I wanted something sweet with the beer.
I get it.
We should have just stuck with beer. I don't know what I
Yeah.
was thinking. It's fine. I've taken my licks. I've learned my lessons.
I thought about getting a McFlurry today, and those things are expensive.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not that it's expensive. It's just that it's about the same cost as like Cold Stone, and it's like, why would I get a McFlurry if I get Cold Stone for the same price?
You got to have Brahms. Brahms in Florida. Brahms is actually the great thing here about Oklahoma is that the ice cream is so cheap. You can get like a really big thing for like $2.
That's amazing.
I know. It used to be.
Is it because all the cows are like all the ice cream came from next door?
What do you mean?
All the cows are right there.
All the cows are right there.
In Oklahoma, the cattle capital of America.
Yeah, they don't have Brahms anywhere that they can't drive the milk to in a day.
Yeah.
So all of
It's
the
like
Brahms
Wendy's,
are within a day's drive of the cow. Or
I mean, like a day's walk, like a saunter, a day's saunter.
The cows aren't that close to
Okay.
where I live. I do have a donkey on my street, but that's a
Really?
thing. Yeah,
That's
you can
fun.
hear the donkey some mornings. He's over there just doing his thing.
That's awesome. That poor donkey when the ATVs drive by, probably freaked out.
I know he's probably scared. Do we have like a? Do you want to? Is there something that we can get into today?
Probably. What's happened in the news? Oh, dude, I was at a church. I was at a parish, and I was talking to the secretary. She was very sweet.
Sure.
And she was like, "Oh, it's cold one out there," And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty chilly."
What was it, like 70 degrees?
Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not dressed for it at all." And she was like, "Yeah, I have Alexa tell me the weather," and she asked me if I want to hear the morning news, and I say, "Of course." And I'm like, "Why? Why would the first thing you want to know right after you know what you're supposed to wear is what you're supposed to be afraid of?"
Whoa.
I know,
That's
right?
so deep. That's
Sometimes
like Tumblr 2014.
I'm 14 and this is deep.
Did you ever have a Tumblr that you used?
Not that I used.
Cap.
I could pull it up right now.
Please don't. Please don't. We have a podcast that we're doing right now. I want to find a bunch of Mario and Sonic fan fiction on your Tumblr. That would be really funny to me to learn that about you.
That's on my what's it called? That's on my what's the fan fiction website? I don't know. Someone who knows.
Both
Tumblr
both of us are too straight to know the answer to that question.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't remember what my Tumblr was, but I never used it. So it was more of like my friends that were girls would use it, but I never really. What was Tumblr supposed to be? Was it like a blog?
Yeah, it was a blog.
It's like
you have your own blog. Yeah, I never really could figure out how to navigate it. It wasn't very intuitive to me, but
yeah, but blogging, you could blog through like actual like WordPress sites back then. So why did you need Tumblr? Was it more of like a Facebook-esque?
Yeah, it might have been like an aggregator type thing of all the cool blogs.
All the cool
you
blogs
could comment and you could do all these things, and it was more social. But someone who used Tumblr, someone who has a PhD in Tumblr could probably tell us.
Someone who has a PhD in Tumblr is probably going to go on our Discord and be like, "Yeah, no, it was for pornography." Yeah, that was what it was
probably
for.
Was. Speaking of our Discord, we crossed 1,100 members today.
That's huge. And also, maybe this is the topic we could talk about. There was a little bit of a controversy on our Discord.
Was there?
In the Dating Corner subreddit, in the Dating Corner channel.
Really?
Yeah, the guy who said we don't have to name him, but maybe we could talk about this, about fellas and the
yeah.
You want to talk about that?
We can. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm afraid to use the W word on the pod,
Yeah, we can't use the W word on the podcast
but I
because
know I've done it before, so it's like there's precedent.
probably. But you've said it where it's like H. It's a
Yeah,
soft W.
because if you just say it,
Yeah.
then it sounds really aggressive. But if you say "hooer," then
It doesn't
everyone
sound.
knows you're joking. You know,
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah.
knows you're not actually saying it.
Actually saying it.
Um,
It's very bad to say it. You should never say it.
yeah, there was I don't. I'm not upset at this gentleman. I'm not. I don't think he's a bad person. I think that there's something in the water with young men today where,
Explain the situation for the listener.
yeah, I just so there was someone was saying in our channel that he didn't get banned or anything. So this was not like, if you're listening and this is about you, I'm not. Nobody cares.
No one in our Discord listens to our podcast. I
That's
don't
true.
think
I
there's
don't know
no
where.
overlap there.
How are they joining? By the way, like how are they? Are you posting about it on
the course?
the course?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so people are joining the course. People are getting the Convince Your Friends toolkit.
Yeah.
And then there's a little thing after they
There's a
sign up
link
for it to go to join
the Discord. Okay,
And
'cause
so
there's
we're
just been
getting
like a steady trickle of people, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Where is this coming from? Is Patrick posting on the Instagram and I'm not seeing it?" It's like, no,
no.
that's kind of nice. Look at us. Wow, it feels so good to do something right for once.
I know, right?
That makes me
Especially
happy.
when we do so many things wrong.
Wrong over and over again.
Sorry,
He was
Courtney, I
basically-
didn't mean it.
he
I
was-
was trying my best.
He was basically saying that he didn't want to use Tinder because Tinder was full of quote whores, end
Yeah.
quote. And naturally, I and some other people were like, "Hey, you can't talk that way," and he'd stopped talking that way, so that was good. But I do think that his whole point was like he was trying to get across like, I don't want to be on a website where women are dressed all scandally and they are using their bodies as a way to get likes,
To attract me.
like Tinder is not an app that I like because that's how it operates and that's not the world that I want to operate in. So like I understand the sentiment. I don't understand, or I don't agree with the way that he presented his argument, but I do think that there's something where men are really struggling with like articulating the problems that they have with women, and it ends up coming off as this like all women are quote whores, end quote. Yes. But I just want to make sure people know that I'm not saying it.
Yeah, no, it's important. The woman respecter has logged on.
Yes.
And he ain't logging off, baby.
No, I would never log off.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you baby.
Huh?
No, I'm saying like, some women don't like to be referred to as baby, and so I was like, "Oh, I wasn't calling you. I'm sorry."
Yeah. So
baby with a soft B.
It's strange because it feels like there's not really a way for men to address like that particular issue of like I want to be in a place where the women are not constantly sexually charging every conversation.
Yes.
You know, without seeming like they are anti-woman, you know? Mm-hmm. And so one of the responses is to just kind of become a porn defender, you know, where it's like women's bodies are great and they can do whatever they want. They can make as much money with their bodies as they want. And I think all women should be protected in this space, which is one angle. And then the other angle is the direction that we were just talking about, which is like women need to stop being quote whores, end quote. Mm-hmm. And
we got to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode.
I know we should put a disclaimer. And that's the other direction. And it feels like there's not really like there is obviously the middle way of Catholicism, which is like, yeah, respect women, call them higher. There's no need to denigrate them. But it doesn't feel like many people want to choose that option. It feels like they're really pulled to one end or the other in what I've been seeing.
Yeah, it's partially more acceptable. I think it's more acceptable now than it used to be because on the internet, there's a general acceptedness of, a part of it is the proliferation of websites where people it's like users generated pornography, right? So like those kinds of websites have become proliferate. They're all over the place on Twitter. It's like spam bots on everybody's comments, right?
Everywhere, all the time.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of giving people, I think that's giving guys license to make fun of these women.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of it is like a defense mechanism because they're targeting you. Like it's not
Right.
they want to ruin your life so they
Who's
can make
they?
money.
The succubuses?
Yes. These
It's so
women would
funny
would
because that
prefer.
word is probably more offensive than the W word, but no one will call me on calling a woman a
No one will get
succubus.
mad at you for
Yeah.
calling a woman a sex demon. But no, like the women that are doing this, right, that are choosing to do this would
Mm-hmm.
prefer that you harm yourself and your
Mm.
relationships and
Yeah.
your future relationships in order to make money. And that's like a I think guys intuit that, and they're very afraid of
Mm-hmm.
that because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a threat. It's
Yeah.
they intuit the threat, and they're like, and so one way that they do that, one way that they deal with that threat is by like pushing it away. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, hey, don't think about a pink elephant, and it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Right.
and they thrive off of that. Like there's a phenomenon on Twitter where accounts that make fun of women who do these user generated pornography websites, they will make fun of the woman. The woman will comment, and traffic, she'll get traffic to her website, and it turns out, oh, the guy who was making fun of her was actually paid by her to do that, to generate the
Yeah.
controversy, to get.
In
And it's
cahoots.
like, and so it's that side of the internet is interesting. It's like
I
all.
think the user generated pornography stuff is like the most extreme version of it, but I think there's still a lot of like thirst trap content or even just um like on dating apps, like that's because that's where a lot of people are is they're trying to meet someone, and every time they get on
Sure.
the dating app they're just assaulted with like swimsuit pictures and all these things, and it's like
Oh,
I don't
sure.
really
I'm saying, I guess
I'm
that
not
like
really interested in that, you
that
know
attitude drifts into, because it's like I think the guys feel the same. This gentleman, perhaps, and other guys who
hmm
are on these apps. I never was on the apps, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But
I was on the
they
apps.
feel they feel the same kind of, um, the same kind of a transactional
Yeah.
attitude, and so they naturally recoil at that. I think that's fair. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be like. I feel like you're trying to get me to have an emotional response or like a biological response to you in
Right.
order for you to have the upper hand. And I don't I that makes me uncomfortable.
And I think it's frustrating because you're any well-meaning guy generally doesn't want to see as many near naked women as possible, you know?
Yes.
However, if you just exist in the world, you're going to see many generally. And there's like there's not really an opt out,
Yeah.
like billboards and the mall and anytime you go online for even like watching just regular TV, there's always like some kind of Dove commercial that's just like, I get it, but it's like, what is this all for? And
Mhm.
so, um, and so I think there can be an element of frustration of like, man, I want to really only be with one woman ever, like I really want to love a singular woman, but instead I'm just like against my will being forced to see. It's like not even like the guys that go out and seek pornography or like the ones that are addicted to it and like watch it or watching these thirst trap videos on purpose because they like the sexual stimulation that it provides. It's like guys that are just trying to go through life
Yeah.
without any of that stuff and against their will because of the way that society is. It's foisted upon them, and I think that
Yes.
has to like that frustration has to come out somehow, you know and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to say that women aren't sympathetic enough to it, but I do think that maybe there's a lack of understanding of like why guys end up being this way. Because
Yeah.
for women,
Yeah.
I don't know if if it correlates exactly. Like
I don't think it really
I don't
does.
know if a shirtless muscular man does the exact same thing as a near naked woman does.
No, I don't think so. And whenever these modesty discourse things pop up, you
Yeah.
will hear things like, "Well, guys need to be modest too," and the answer is yeah, but
Not
like,
really
does
though.
he? You
No.
know, I
Like I should like me working in the backyard with my shirt off when it's hot. Like I'm not worried about my neighbor, like my neighbor's wife seeing me, because it's not like there's nothing sexual about me doing that because I'm
yeah,
hot and I'm a guy and my body is made for physical
sure.
doings. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Physical
And
doings, yes.
but like if my wife went outside and like stripped down, I'd be like, everyone would
Please
be like,
don't do
that's
that.
probably, please don't do that.
Not a good idea, yeah.
Not a good idea. So it's, and I think everyone can kind of generally sense that naturally. That's not really like so I don't know. I'm not going to say that women don't understand and it's women's fault and like they need to be more sympathetic to the men because the men definitely need to step it up and like not call women quote whores end quote. That's definitely part of it, but I think there would be a lot more productive conversation about this if everyone kind of understood. Oh, oh, like that's what you
Yeah.
guys are going through every single day. Yeah, we don't really go through that at all. Um,
Yeah. I think
so
there's a real frustration there
mhm.
that we can be sympathetic to. Feel
Yeah,
like this guy's dealing with it incorrectly.
right.
But that the root cause is, him dealing with it, and that's fine. People deal with things incorrectly all the time. But the
Yeah,
root cause needs to be addressed and
yes.
yeah,
And
and
I think the
trust.
issue is that like 99% of the time the response is maybe my response to this guy in the Discord wasn't the best. Like I tried to keep it light and fun, to not like
No, you killed it. It was perfect.
okay, to not totally like drive him deeper into the thing, like that's not my goal. But I think sometimes for these guys is they can like say their true belief of like I really like I am in however whatever words they say it in. They're saying I really just want to find a woman that respects herself and that I respect that I could have like a productive, healthy relationship with. That's really what they're trying to say at the end of the day. They just might not have the words to say it in an appropriate way. And in saying that, they get told that they're wrong or that they're misogynist or that they are stupid or that they're pig-headed or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, what incentive is there then for those guys to continue trying to seek respectful relationships with women? They're just being told, oh, there's no chance, which only reinforces the thought process that they have, which drives them into this kind of anti-woman spiral, And so
Yeah.
it feels weird to say it, but I think there needs to be more sympathy for like the woman hating trad guys, because they just need to be
Yeah.
told like, hey, we get it. What if we said it this way?
Yeah.
you know?
Because it is true on one hand that, hey, perhaps you should be in a place where you're able to, you're assaulted all of a sudden by a scantily clad woman, which
Mm-hmm.
happens often.
Yes.
And you're able to go, you have the kind of virtue where that doesn't remain in your brain, you know?
Yeah.
That is true. And it also is possible.
It
I can tell
is
you it's
totally.
very possible
Mm-hmm.
to see a naked woman, basically naked woman, and be like, never mind. Doesn't really enter your brain much after that. That is
Yeah.
possible. However, being like all guys should do this and women should not change at all is just a silly thing. And it's very one-sided. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's demanding from men the kind of virtue that considers the other person, but it's not demanding the same from women. It doesn't demand that women
Yeah.
have care for the other person, which is what
Yeah.
virtue is all about. And so it
Right.
is kind of frustrating. Like that's where the frustration from double standards is. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, how come, guys get to don't wear shirts and women have to wear shirts. It's more of, hey, let's both agree to cultivate our personal virtue with the other person in mind.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. And I think that's for like the women out there that are listening that like don't post anything like this, who have never even considered making a Tinder profile photo like this or making a video like the ones that we're talking about. You probably, if you're in that category, then you probably do have a certain level of disgust when men talk this way. And I think
Yeah.
this is the opportunity for like your virtue to say like, okay, let me try to understand what he's saying instead of assuming that he hates me, or he
Yeah.
hates all women.
Because women do have women. There is often the experience of women, especially online, because online you'll just get comments where
Yeah.
like you'll see someone's post that's like it's buttoned all the way up, but her elbows are showing. Like stuff like that, and the guy goes, "Wow, you're so like, why are you posting thirst traps?" I mean, we have a friend that gets that all the time.
Yeah. That's a very similar tweet that I had, was like, guy who's definitely not addicted to porn. Why does everyone keep posting thirst traps? It's like,
Right.
there's definitely plenty of blame on the men. And I don't think the broader cultural narrative of women are good no matter what they do
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help, right? Because
Yeah.
not only are you fighting like the virtue battle on both
Mm-hmm.
sides, where like men are called to, not lust, and also that are called to speak with charity towards women, and women are called to, empathy and understanding of men that are going through this, and they're called to modesty, right? Like there's both virtue on both sides here that is being invited. But then on top of that, you have this whole cultural narrative that's like, anything that a woman does is empowering, and anything that a man does is should be something that a woman is doing instead.
Oh my gosh, I was listening to a really funny podcast, and this might it was a podcast. It was like a business podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And the uh the the women were talking about women in business in the Chamber of Commerce, and they were talking about how it's really important. They're like, yeah, like the women's networking groups and the women's alliance and the women in business groups, they're really great, but I really feel strongly that like women should be present in male dominated spaces. And they were like, yes, girl, yes, I agree. And they're like, and then one of
Queen.
them goes, wait, and is it like the chamber, isn't like everybody that's employed at the Chamber of Commerce all women? And the girl was like, yeah, actually, yeah, they are all women. And I was like, oh, cool. So it's just like not a male dominated space.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It was really good. I was like, awesome. So like that's kind of the attitude sometimes. Like it drifts into, actually no, only women should be doing this. And it's like, well, that's not the spirit of this, right? It's supposed to be cooperative. I agree that men and women can teach each other something, and they have their specific specialties or geniuses. But we need room for both, and they need to be allowed to be together. Because I
Yeah.
do think women should be allowed to have a space where they don't have to worry about being completely covered up, so they can exercise or just
Yes.
hang out, and that they
Exercise.
should
Yeah.
have that space that is theirs.
Right.
There's a
This
really
whole
great
thing.
story.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Tell your thing.
There's a really great story from Abigail Favale's book on Genesis of Gender, where she went to the beach in Israel, I think, and
We
with
went
her
to a beach in
husband.
Israel.
We
You and
did. We went
me.
to the Ron Beach.
We went to the Ron Beach Hotel, and there was a very naked lifeguard.
Yeah, he was not being very modest,
He
but
was not
nobody
modest
really
at
cared.
all. But I wasn't lusting after him. Well, I lusted after his lifestyle, because
Yeah,
he was the
I
lifeguard
wanted
at
to
the
be.
beach. He had a tiny little Speedo on. He was smoking a cigarette and reading a book, and he wasn't guarding anything.
He was not
He
guarding
was
anybody's
not
life.
helpful.
He
Yeah.
was going for a swim. He came back,
Yeah.
read the book, dry
We asked,
immediately because
can we go swim in the Sea of Galilee? He didn't say anything. We went and swam in the Sea of Galilee, and then he was like, yeah, you weren't supposed to do that. And we were like, well, why didn't you say it? But he was too lazy to get up and come get us out of the Sea of Galilee.
That was
So,
I was like,
man.
are we gonna get a parasite from the Sea of Galilee? Am I
I
allowed to
hope
give
so,
blood
man.
now?
I mean, if
Only
Jesus walked
parasite.
on it, I feel like it can't have it in there,
That's fair.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the only brain-eating parasites are coming from nations that have rejected God.
We need to clip that, and
Yeah.
that needs to be an Instagram post. That was funny.
Sure. Thanks.
That was really good.
Sometimes I like to tell jokes for you.
Sometimes I like to laugh. Abigail Favale told this story about her and her husband going to a beach in Israel, and it was a women's only beach, and so she got to go by herself, and she remembered the feeling of like, wow, I don't have to worry about men looking at me. This is great.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like oh, men are always looking at me and men are the worst. It was like sometimes men look at women that are pretty, and
Right.
it's nice to not be perceived sometimes,
Yes. Yes. This is how I feel when I go into the bathroom at my office and I have my AirPods in and I just go straight into the stall. I want to be not perceived.
I will
I don't
not
want
be
I don't
perceived.
I don't want anyone to know I'm there. Um, yeah, I think that there's a fine line for both to walk, and it's hard because people like to lay down their personal interpretations
Oh yeah.
of where the line is for this
The
kind of
Archon
stuff.
of Constantinople clearly states that women
Right.
shouldn't have driver's
Or
license.
it's like men shouldn't be on Tinder, and that's the line. And then it's like
Yeah.
women shouldn't post videos of themselves dancing. That's the line. Or men shouldn't you know, look like they shouldn't go to the mall if there's a Victoria's Secret in the mall. Like that's men's
Sure.
fault. Or like women should never wear a tank top, to work out that
Yeah.
exposes her shoulders. Like
Yeah.
people always try to come up with these
Dude,
lines. And
every
this is
every
this is the
year at
problem.
Franciscan,
Yes.
we called it the spandex gate, and it was someone
Uh-huh.
posting about women wearing spandex at the gym.
Yeah.
Every year, someone said it, and it would
And
cause a big.
I'm not surprised, but the reality is that like it really is. This sounds modern, but it's not. The virtue is dependent on each individual and like where they're at, So for some people, being around a bunch of women that have their shoulders exposed is not an issue. For some people, getting on Tinder and swiping through a bunch of images of women in bikinis is not an issue. For some people, uh, you know, being able to respond charitably to men that call them quote whores end quote is not a problem. And like, but for other people, those are all issues. Those are all really
Mhm.
difficult things,
Yeah.
and that's why this is not good for Twitter, because people will just say she shouldn't be wearing that. It's like really easy to just be like that's wrong, but then
Bad.
there's no room for like actual virtue to take place,
Yeah.
because you can only know what will be virtuous for that person if you know where they're at, what they struggle with, where they need to go. Like the whole fabric of their life has to be taken into account.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's true. Well, I think we solved. I think we did something today.
I
I
think
think
we did too. I think someone should uh, print out the transcript of this podcast and publish it.
and nail it, nail it to
Oh,
door
yes,
of
of Tinder's headquarters.
Tinder headquarters in China, and they will then legally have to delete all pictures of bikinis. So
I don't think they should delete TikTok from the
I
American
don't either.
landscape. I think Americans need their slop.
I agree. I think that Americans need their slop. Also, they shouldn't delete TikTok because we finally got didn't we finally get a
Did we
thousand
get 1,000
followers?
followers?
We had
Hold
to have got
on.
it out by now. Come on. Come on. Did we get 1,000? We
Bum, 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 bum.
we
We
paid
have
those guys.
943 followers on TikTok. I
No,
know.
we're
I
so
know.
close.
I know. Once we get 1,000, then we can finally start influencing. Ooh.
Yeah, we can
Ooh.
finally influence some people.
If only people would subscribe to us on YouTube. That would really.
If you're watching this on YouTube, did the little subscribe button do a little thing? Because it does that now when you say the word subscribe.
We're at 472 subscribers on YouTube. I would love to get to 500. That would
That'd
be
be
a
real nice.
dream, a dream
That'd be
come
real
true
nice.
for me. Because then I could finally tell my dad that I'm doing something.
Your dad judges your worth on YouTube subscribers.
My dad
The
judges
year
my
from
worth.
1996 to 2008 was horrible.
My
There were
dad
no YouTube
judges me
subscribers.
based on whether or not I have more than 500 YouTube subscribers.
Yeah.
And I have to get to 500, or else I'm not allowed to come home this year for Memorial Day weekend. Okay? So do you
How
have
many-
to do it?
we need more followers than my dad on YouTube. That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need sign man Pat Nevy. A bunch of people went and subscribed to him on Sign Painter's Journey.
Yeah.
we got him. He's got 333 subscribers.
Oh, crushed.
But that's not bad.
I'll
I
do a
think he has-
skateboarding video to really put us over the top.
I think his videos have more views combined than all of ours, though. So
I'm not surprised.
my dad has 2 videos, and both of them have more than 2,500 views on them.
That's crazy.
That's so good. What the heck, Dad?
Dude. You know, all that notwithstanding, if you like our podcast and you want to give us money to keep making more of these forever and ever and ever, amen, you can go to patreon.com/thecrunch and you can give us $10 a month. And not only will we keep making this and not stop, but we'll also make a bonus third podcast every week on Fridays that comes out. And it's about our personal lives. And it's about it's about all this behind the scenes stuff that we can't talk about on the main show. And I don't say quote unquote around sensitive words.
Yeah, I just say them.
I'll just say them. And it's a good time.
This episode of The Crunch is sponsored by us, by the Convince Your
Friends and the Good Egg Fund.
And the Good Egg Fund. Go to thecrunchcast.com/toolkit to get your free copy of the Convince Your Friends Toolkit, a little thing we made for you to help convince your friends the Catholic faith is true. Over 1,500 downloads and counting.
Is that true?
It is true.
That's crazy.
Isn't that awesome?
That's so many.
I know.
How did we do that?
I don't know. We just kind of did it.
Well,
Cool, a lot of it was when we posted it on Instagram the first time. People just loved it.
People loved it.
We've only been promoting it on Twitter, and people have really been enjoying it. I got good feedback from our good pal Jeff Putnam. You know him.
You gave it to Jeff Putnam? He follows me now.
He got it himself. Yeah. He
Oh, really?
checked out the podcast. He's a good dude.
This is great. What did he say about the? You can tell me later. I'm curious to hear what he has to say. Yeah. This is exciting. Thanks, Jeff.
Came into the church. That's huge.
I know.
And so go check out thecrunchcast.com/toolkit. 4.8 out of 5 stars reviews. That's what we got.
Let's get that up to 4.9. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday in the dating corner. Patrick, do you have anything else for people?
Tune in next week where I put on a bikini. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us when we pray for you. We'll see you all next time.